Hi, everyone. Welcome to Writer of the Week. Today we're here with Dr. Barbara Donsky, author of Veronica's Grave, as it's known in the US, and Missing Mother is its Canadian title. Welcome, Barbara. How are you today?
Hello, Melissa. I'm well. I'm very happy to have you here in my office today.
So we're going to cover both your book and your amazing blog. And regarding the book, what was the catalyst that made you want to write the book, and when did that happen? If you could tell us some of the backstory.
Well, the backstory is I've always enjoyed writing. And at one point, though, I'm living here in New York and I'm walking down Madison Avenue and I found this brochure, and it was for a writing group called Gotham Writers. So I signed up for a course, and to be very honest, the course that had the best hours was for memoir. I didn't know if I was going to write poetry, or I thought writing a film script would be interesting. So I signed up for memoir. And that's really how the writing all began. And eventually I started writing my story, and the other group members really liked it as I liked theirs. And that's how Veronica's Grave began. It took a number of years and it took a lot of rewrites. But finally, thanks to my husband, I came up with the idea, or we came up with the idea, that the book should be told in the child's point of view and with the child's voice. And that made all the difference. It made it so easy to write at that point. So that's how it began.
And was there anything surprising in the process of writing the book?
I don't know that there was anything surprising in the writing of the book, except that it took so long. You know, you would think that you would just be able to do this. After all, it's your story, that you could turn it out in a year, but it didn't really take that. And then I became involved with a professional editor. So that was a very interesting experience. I had never worked with an editor before. And you begin to see the story differently because, you know, your editor will pull out something that's perfectly well written, could be beautifully written, but he or she doesn't care if it doesn't fit into the arc of the story, if it's not moving the reader forward all the time. So it was a huge learning lesson for me in how professional editors look at books. That was very interesting.
Wow, that's incredible. Everything that goes to the cutting room floor, I guess. And who are the readers of your book? And is there anything you want them to have as a takeaway message?
Well, I have both male and female readers, it seems, but mostly women. And I think that most of them are probably in their 40s up. But I've had children as young as 11 read my book and had no trouble with it. So it is, as it's told in the child's voice, it's told in the present tense. It reads more like a diary, more like, you know, Anne Frank's diary, something like that. There are a number of books that have done that, including To Kill a Mockingbird, Harper Lee has done. So that's the idea, which makes it very easy to read. In fact, at one time, I was invited back to the Bronx because that's where I had lived as a child, and that's where the book begins. And I went to the Bronx Library with a panel of other Bronx writers. And one of the things that the chief librarian commented on after that was that because of the language of the book and because of the subject matter too, she felt it was very appropriate for readers in the Bronx. And they had a low reading level in the Bronx as opposed to other boroughs here in Manhattan, which I didn't know. And then she would go ahead that summer, and it became one of the New York Public Library's recommended reads for summer for that very reason.
Wow, that's incredible. And I know you have many irons in the fire, and you also have this amazing blog called Desperately Seeking Paris, which is a photographic and literary tour of the culinary and artistic delights of New York and Paris. And it's quite stunning. I recommend everybody read her blog and immerse yourself in the art and restaurants fare. So if we could sort of broach the same questions, when did you decide to write a blog, and what made you want to do that?
Well, when I was going to publish the book, it became pretty obvious, even about a year in advance, that you needed a way to get your message out. And what they were recommending then is that we would have a blog and a website. You had to have a website. So I did just that, and I started it in order to support my book. But I found that in focusing on Paris, or mostly Paris, touches of French style here in New York, I found that it was really a lot of fun because it took me to the places that I love going to the French Library here on Fifth Avenue, to the museums, of course, to French restaurants here in New York, and so forth. So that part of it, I call it the research, but doing the research is highly enjoyable. And then, you have a chance to keep up your writing skills. So part of that became a really wonderful task in that I knew that I would blog weekly. So you had to sit yourself down and make sure you had that post ready, your blog post to go out at a certain time. For me, it was on Sunday morning. So that was a good discipline. And it also helps, I think, when you're writing a lot like that, it gets easier for you.
And was there anything surprising in writing the blog?
Yes, I think the most surprising thing about writing the blog is how difficult it is in terms of the technology and how long it would take me to really absorb so many of these facets of it. Like, how do you adjust a picture? And then you would adjust it and it would look fine, when you're looking at it. And then when your blog post would come out, you think, it doesn't look the same. Why is this? So it was trying to figure out all of these things, and it's not easy. And I have heard this, and I believe it's true, that most people who start blogging will give it up within a year. So I didn't. I pursued it, and it's been since 2014, so going into my 4th year now, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is incredible. And who reads your blog, and what do you want them to get out of reading it?
I really hope that people who read the blog, and there are different people who like certain things, more like restaurants say reviews when they come to New York, but I've also had people write me from England and from France who really have doctorates in literature, and they just like, the movie reviews, the reviews on books and whatever. So people have different tastes, but for me, it's always finding what you think is beautiful, what you think is really interesting, what you find intellectually grabbing, and then to share it with other people. I know you can hear that sound, Melissa, but I have to tell you, we're here in New York.
Oh, no, that's just background ambience. That's
okay. Ambiance, right. 24-hour-a-day ambiance.
So Barbara's book is available on Amazon, and if you want to find out more, you can go to her website, barbaradonsky.com. And thank you so much for being with us today, and we wish you a lot of success with your book and the blog.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Bye-bye now.